Absolutely love to see it as the Toronto Maple Leafs smack the Philadelphia Flyers around for 3 periods in a game that we should have probably saw on Saturday night against the Nashville Predators. And shout out to the chat already, all of you in here, 40 of you in here. That's right, that is exactly what you should do to teams that are at the bottom of not only the conference but the league. And now the Toronto Maple Leafs are officially first in the Atlantic Division as of tonight, with the Florida Panthers out of action. They have identical records, but the Leafs do have the tiebreaker. So for the time being, it feels really good. And the Tampa Bay Lightning also smacked the Pittsburgh Penguins around tonight. So they're 2 points back. It is going to be tight for the rest of the year. You have to continue to push the pace. And full disclosure, tonight there will be no call-ins, and it will be a bit of a shorter one, and Nick will be back probably in the next live stream we do. I'm not sure if we'll be live on Thursday. Nick is traveling, so shout out to Nick, but he'll be obviously in the videos the next couple days for sure. But live streaming might be kind of weird, and I think we're going to stream together on Saturday, which should be a lot of fun in person together, so that should be fun. But anyway, the Toronto Maple Leafs, big win, and I wanted to get into a few things, including the box score tonight, because obviously some big nights, and we'll get to the comments in a section, for a lot of guys, and including William Nylander, who's probably going to be my first start tonight. 2 goals, no assists, but 2 goals and 2 assists. What am I talking about? John Tavares with 2 goals and 2 assists as well, 4 points. That second line has been unbelievable since they put Bobby McMann up on that line. Bobby McMann with 2 points tonight. He's making it happen on the boards and all of that good stuff. So I thought Scott Lawton played a better game tonight as well. What's up, Jose? What's up, Jim? I saw Jim in here as well. What's up, Nick? Some of the usuals. Prophet is in here as well. Joshua, nice to see everyone. It feels good. Feels good to be back in the win column. I know they just came off of a 3-game winning streak, but that game on Saturday left a sour taste, I think, in a lot of people's mouths. And Anthony Stolar's not too busy tonight, which is good. That's what you hope, right? Obviously, you want him to be good and to be ready for the playoffs, but at the same time, I thought the Leafs played a very good game tonight. Again, the defense pairings are kind of trying some stuff out with them. The lines, they got to get that third line going. I was hoping that they would have played them a little bit more down the stretch, but what's going on, Austin Matthews? Not on the plane this time, but Matthews is in the chat here. Nice to see you again. I wonder if Ryan Reeves makes an appearance as well, but yeah, the 3 stars are essentially going to be the second line at this point. And if you take a look at the impact score chart, a little bit of a different one. I'm using it from bench rates today. They use a different model. John Tavares was actually the best player on the ice, and he's been the best player on the ice probably for the last little while at this point, and William Nylander as well, Bobby McMann up there. So obviously the second line's been unbelievable. David Kampf he was skating well tonight. He had an amazing game. So drop your thoughts. Who do you think is it Holmberg? I don't think it's Holmberg anymore. I think it's Kampf in the playoff lineup. I think this is really close, what we saw tonight, to the playoff lineup. Let me know what you think in the chat, but I think this is extremely close to what the playoff lineup is going to be. Maybe Pacioretty factors in as well. We don't know if he's officially healthy, but thanks to Insider Jim here last stream, it looks like he could be nearing a return in the playoffs at least. But no, that was great. Ryan Reeves is here, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Reeves and Austin Matthews are here. Nice to see you guys. And point night for everyone but you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened tonight, Austin. It's okay. There's still 7 goals on the board. And speaking of the 7 goals on the board, the power play has been unbelievable. And we've been talking to Jim, who's been calling in a lot, and everyone who's been calling in has been talking about the power play and how awful it's been. Well, this month, it's clicking at over 40%. And what is the reason for that? I believe, and I said it on the last, should have been A2. But anyway, back to the impact score chart. But from Jim, Kampf is solid, no flash, shut down, defensive forward. That is a must for the playoffs. I totally agree. And I've been watching some clips from the last couple playoff series, especially against Tampa. David Kampf was a big part of that, especially on the PK. So I think we lose sight of that sometimes. He's going to factor into the lineup. I honestly do. I think Holmberg's also a very smart player. I have to agree with a lot of people who do want him in the lineup. Because, again, I don't think it's 50-50, but I think there are some Holmberg truthers out there. But I just don't see him into the playoff lineup, I have to be honest, especially because they acquired Lawton. Lawton has to play. It doesn't even matter if he's... I mean, it does matter. If he's not playing well, he won't play, but I don't think he's playing bad enough to not have him in the lineup. So it's going to be very interesting down the stretch there. But did any Leaf not get a point? That's a good question. And yes, Scott Lawton. No, but there's a few on defense as well. But Scott Lawton, Nick Robertson, Max Domi's goal tonight, unbelievable. Good work from Max Domi. That's how you score. You got to create it. You got to make it happen. So I love that. Robert with the $10. We're gonna get this going here. That's the wrong one. Gonna bring up the animation for you here. Leafs needed a big win like this on Scott Lawton. Kind of feel sorry for him. He's playing well, but just can't buy a point. That's how I feel about him as well. I have to be honest, Robert. And again, thank you for the $10 donation. You guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable on the channel this entire season. Nick and I really appreciate it. But no, I feel bad for him. Like he should have had that goal. I say should have, but it was a high stick on Saturday. And then obviously tonight you'd like to see him score against his former team, and he kicked off the game in a good way too. But I think he's playing okay now. I think he's settled in a little bit, and he's not going to be the guy to score. Like he might chip in for a goal in the playoffs. That's kind of why you got him. But I feel like we got to pump the brakes a little bit in terms of expectations. Like a lot of people when we acquired, I saw it online, like when Brandon Carlo was traded for, everyone was like, wow, we traded for a guy with only one goal. It's not why you got Brandon Carlo. It's fine, right? So I think Lawton will be okay. Just where does he fit in the lineup? And let's keep in mind, yes, we traded a first-round pick in Gerbankin for him. The Leafs are a better team with him. I think that it was maybe not a necessary move, but I think they're a better team with him. I have to be honest. And player of March, John Tavares, absolutely. Captain Juan, or former Captain Juan, has been absolutely unbelievable this month. And not only like putting up points, and another 4 points tonight, and like convincingly. Like he's not like lucking into these goals. He's playing really well. The urgency, his level of urgency has been through the roof, honestly, the last couple of games. He's like the first guy on pucks sometimes, whereas maybe he wasn't that, a couple months ago or even, a couple of years. But he's getting in on the forecheck. And shout out to John Tavares, who is also in the chat. JT scored his 31st and 32nd on the year, 10 goals in 12 games, in his last 12 games. And the best he's looked as a Leaf. I would argue that he looked better in his first year. I will argue that. But in the last couple of years, definitely. He looks fantastic. Looks like he has new legs under him. Maybe it's the captaincy thing. A lot of people are making something out of that. There is a burden, that you take on if you're the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's an honor and a privilege, and you should, right? And you should accept it 100%. But he doesn't have to deal with that anymore. That's Austin Matthews, right? So now he can just go out there and play, and he's playing very well, and he's like completely eclipsed what he did last year. Like he's having a fantastic season, and it's almost gone under the radar because of everything that's happened with Matthews this year, and obviously everything that's happened with William Nylander. Again, 40 goals, right? Having a fantastic season. I'm not sure he's going to get to 50. Anything's possible, but man, what a season for William Nylander as well, with another 2 points. And I'll bring up the impact score chart here as well. This one is from Bench Rates, trying something new tonight. Use a little bit of a different model, but it's the same idea. And as you can see there at the bottom, a little bit of the third line going on there. We got Mr. Lawton and Mr. Robertson there on the bottom. But it was a good game. That was a very good game, off to a good start. And Nick with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much, everybody, for gifting subs as well, so everyone can be included in the community. Welcome in Darren, Tyler, Tom, Mesed, and Tyler. Welcome in, everybody, to the community. And we're going to get some new emotes going as well as we continue to unlock spaces with memberships, and it's going to be crazy for the playoffs. Very excited for the playoffs. Going to try and revamp almost everything for the playoffs, so it should be in terms of streaming, so it should be pretty fun. So it's going to be exciting. But thank you, Nick, again. Everyone's support has been absolutely unbelievable all season long. Are there any surprises to the chat on the impact score chart tonight? I think it makes sense in terms of the the eye test versus the chart. It makes total sense. Tavares or Nylander was probably going to be my first start anyway. Bobby McMahon as well. I thought that Max Domi had a pretty solid game, all things considered, even though I was hoping that this was the game that the third line was going to get going. I was really hoping, because I think now the second line is dynamite. They're playing fantastic, and that's a good thing heading into the playoffs. Your first line has been your first line almost all season. What's happening with the third and fourth line? Because when you head into the playoffs, sometimes those lines, the first and second, get canceled out. What do the third and fourth line do? So it's going to be, I like the new fourth line. I will say that. Jarnkrok, he's been all right. He's been pretty good. Not a difference maker, but not playing that much either, and just came back from pretty serious injury. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think that the third and the fourth line have to get going. There has to be some chemistry there. And I like Domi and Robertson together. It's a good pairing, but we'll see how Scott Lawton works out on the third or fourth line. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I would think that the third line would do something. I was hoping today was going to be the game. I was really hoping for that, but unfortunately not. And leave Lawton on line 4. See, there's a lot of different opinions, and I think they're going to continue to kind of fiddle with things here. Because again, you look at the impact score chart, you look at the box score, third line not doing much besides Max Domi on that one goal where he really worked hard for it. He got that. But I think they're going to continue to fiddle around to a degree. I think you can't with the first or second line. You can't. But I think they're definitely going to keep fiddling with everything on the third and the fourth line to try and find some chemistry. I feel like Holmberg doesn't really work anywhere with the current makeup of the team. Like if you put him on the third line on the left wing, we know that kind of doesn't work, and he doesn't offer anything specific. And then when you put him at fourth line center, where does David Kampf go? I'd rather have David Kampf in the lineup. So we'll see. Very, very interesting. John Tavares is scoring a hat trick next game, everyone. That's going to be exciting to watch. And I believe the next game is on the West Coast. I think it's in Anaheim, actually. So should be fun. Should be a late night hat trick. That'll be good. But surprised to see the top line that far down. Second line has been carrying. Let's bring this back up. Second line, not only tonight, but in the last couple of games, absolutely carrying this team. It's been a pleasure to watch, I'll put it that way. And they gel well. Because, like, for anyone who watched our video earlier this morning about the lineup changes, I was saying that Holmberg doesn't really bring anything specific. Like, he's a good skater. I think he sees the ice well. Like, high IQ, everything like that. Matthews and Marner, when they were playing with him, said the exact same thing about him. I believe all of that is true. But he doesn't offer anything specific. So you kind of just, like, throw him on a line, and he's just a guy on a line. Like, I don't know if he really offers anything too specific. And then when you throw Bobby McMahon on that line, it's like, oh my God. Like, this guy's going in after pucks, and he can facilitate. He can give it to Nylander, and vice versa. We saw it tonight. Nylander goes in, gets the puck. McMahon's kind of, messing, or I was going to use another word, in front. And obviously, he gets the pass in front one-timer and he scores. So it's just a good mix. I love that. And it is San Jose. Excuse me. I know they're going on the West Coast there. So revenge game for San Jose. I keep saying it on every stream. I was at that game and it was unbelievable. I go to one Leaf game a year, and not even that many. I went to the San Jose one, and then I haven't been to that many since like before COVID. I go to one a year, and it was the San Jose game, and I'm thinking I get to see Celebrini, right? It's going to be great, and the Leafs are going to absolutely demolish this team. And it was the first time all season that they gave up a lead in that fashion. Unbelievable. Leafs Digest is also in the chat. That is not us, but it is me in the picture, that is for sure. But all 4 lines have points tonight. Leafs have not done this in a while. They haven't. This was a good night. This is exactly what you needed, I think, because if this game went south, I know the Flyers scored first. I wasn't necessarily worried, even though it was a bad goal, but I wasn't worried at all. But if that started to pile and it was like 2-3-0, oh boy, I think the fan base would have been in shambles as the team headed out west for the West Coast road trip there. So I'm glad that they turned it around. But yeah, you know what, Crankbait? I'll just put it out there. Anybody can clip this right now. I have no plans to go to any playoff games because the last couple games I've gone to, not well. So they have not gone well. So I'm not going. I know they're not playing San Jose in the playoffs, and that would be a good thing if they did because it would be the Stanley Cup final, but San Jose is not making the playoffs. But I'm not going to any playoff games. Zero plans for that. So you guys are safe. I'm not going to jinx the team. No problem with that. So I'll be watching from home. That is the Spider-Man meme. Maybe we need one more account in here so we can do the trifecta of all 3 Spider-Men pointing at each other. But no, honestly, this was a good game. I'm glad they shut things down. The other thing we haven't really talked about, nobody's really mentioning, but they mentioned on the broadcast a little bit. They held the Flyers at one point to like under 10 shots until the third period, I believe. That's great. I know the Flyers are not, highly skilled or anything like that, but you're holding the Flyers to, less than 10 shots. Like, you're going to win if you're holding a team to less than 10 shots, unless you're the Vancouver Canucks versus the New York Rangers last week. But you're probably going to win. So that's very interesting. And here is Josh Gosse. I don't know if that's the actual Josh Gosse from Habs Digest, but if it is, shout out Josh. I think the Canadians are actually losing tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how the playoffs shape up, because as of right now, the Leafs are in first. We can kind of get into this as well. The Leafs are now in first. They have the tiebreaker over the Florida Panthers. So if that stays that way, which We'll see. They have the identical records, but obviously the Leafs have a tiebreaker. If it stays that way, the Leafs could end up playing the Ottawa Senators, which would be absolutely electric for the first time since 2004. The Battle of Ontario would be a lot of fun to see that. The Senators don't have much playoff experience on their roster, at least together as a unit, so that would be very interesting to watch. And I think that the Leafs' best matchup, we talked about this in a previous stream as well, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. But we'll see. They're rolling right now as well. So, and I know Pittsburgh's not that great. So, even if you take tonight out of the equation, they're rolling right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything falls. And we don't know what, the final wild card is going to look like. So it's crazy. But the final wild card, you're probably playing Washington Capitals anyway. So they've been having a crazy, fantastic season for them. But Bobby McMann, 20 goals for, thank you, Nick, for pointing this out, for $1.35 million. He just signed that contract extension. McMann, I saw this. I wish I had the graphic on me to pull it up, but McMann is actually playing at a $5 million pace right now in terms of where the salary cap is going. So you have a player who is on your second line left wing, who scored 20 goals this season and is continuing to improve, and you can see the confidence building season after season, who's playing at a close to $5 million pace, or a $5 million pace. That's what I saw. I wish I had the graphic on me. And you have him for $1.35 million. Fantastic deal. That was awesome. And I love Bobby McMann. I know Jim and a lot of other people are fans of him as well in the chat. He's been a great piece to this team. Absolutely unbelievable. So, Jose, wish this team would play like this the rest of the way and go to the finals. I wish. I absolutely wish. The thing with this team is we all know the skill is there. I mean, when they do things like this tonight, you know that this is there, right? It's just it's like a mental block. I don't know what it is in the playoffs. They have to get past it, and the physicality's got to come way up. So I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs. And I feel like one mistake they made last year is they psyched themselves up way too much for game one, and I think they just completely lost control of the entire game, and then it got out of hand. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully they don't do that this year and they settle into the series. But we will see. It's going to be very interesting. Benoit hit him with that Superman punch. Love that Superman punch. I thought Benoit's been having some good games, and I don't know if the impact score chart will agree with it most nights, but Benoit's been putting together some solid performances, honestly. And even tonight, he was like calling for it, and he went on that little rush by himself, and he looked off. I can't remember who was with him on like the kind of half 2-on-1, 2-on-2 thing, and just looked him off, trying to put the puck to the net. He was having a game. He's having fun with this game lately, so he's been pretty good. But Simone Benoit also in the chat. I cannot believe half the Leafs team is in here tonight. This is fantastic. But this year, for the first time in NHL history, all 7 Canadian teams have a shot to make the playoffs. It's never happened. I think that's a great point, Stuart. That's never happened because obviously with the Winnipeg Jets leaving, and then obviously this new iteration of the Jets, it's never happened. So I would love to see that. I mean, maybe not the Montreal Canadiens. They could stay outside the playoffs for me. That would be nice. But I think it'd be fun if all 7 Canadiens teams made the playoffs. There is a chance, but I think that one of Calgary and Vancouver is probably going to miss, especially with St. Louis. I believe right now it was 4-1. I think they're still beating the Montreal Canadiens. I could be wrong on that, but it would be fun to see all Canadian teams in the playoffs. And I think if it does work out that way, I feel like 4 of them, could be playing each other in the first round. So that would be pretty crazy too. So thank you for the support. Simone Benoit, you've been unbelievable this year. And you know what? You know what that calls for? Thank you, Simone. You've been absolutely unbelievable since you got here to Toronto. So I just wanted to shout you out there. You've been fantastic. Simone Benoit. Everybody, the Benoit train is still accepting passengers. I'm just saying. Heading into this year's playoffs, it's still accepting passengers. It was ready to leave the station last year, but I do believe we're sticking around till the playoffs. And if you're not on the Benoit train by the playoffs, I think everyone is. But if you aren't, definitely get on the Benoit train before the playoffs. You definitely should. But Nick, they can play like this against every team. Results won't always be the same, but you have to give the effort. Exactly, 100%. And one thing about John Tortorella's teams, for example, and the reason like the Columbus Blue Jackets gave the Leafs such a tough time and beat them in the 2020 qualifying round or whatever they were calling it, is because his teams work. And there's a great quote from former Rangers coach Gerard Gallant where I can't remember the exact quote, but he's like, skill doesn't matter. Skill is great, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. If you're getting outworked, you're going to lose 100% of the time. So they have to outwork teams, and I totally agree with that, Nick. They can do it. They can do it because we've seen it. You've seen it at times. So why don't you put that effort forward? And I know it's not, logistically, it's not going to happen over an 82-game season every single night, but there are certain games where, please lock in, right? The fan base sit down, watch the game, please lock in for this one. Please secure these 2 points. And I feel like Saturday was another example of oh my God, we gave up 2 points again where we don't need to. So, McCabe wears Tanev. I don't even see Tanev on this chart, to be honest. Tanev, McCabe, thought they were okay tonight. Thought they were fine. So, Chucky, the second line was crazy the last couple of games. Been fantastic. And aside from the score, one of my favorite things is watching Torts go from simmer to steam out of his ears tonight. Absolutely love it. And I think that this Flyers team, and I don't want to dump on other teams and fan bases and stuff like that. That's not what I'm trying to do with this. But this Flyers team is so genuinely bad that you can see Torts morphing into a different person this season, where he's calm during the timeouts, where he's we're getting absolutely shelled and I understand it and we're not getting out of it. So let's just settle down here and I'm not going to yell. They called a timeout tonight. I can't remember maybe after the 5-1 goal, I think. Called a timeout. By the way, I think the Leafs at one point scored 6 unanswered goals tonight. And he was just super calm. And then obviously wasn't after. But Jose with the $5. We'll get this going with the animation here. But the $5, give the Leafs an A+ for tonight's game. This was a good one. This was an absolutely fantastic game. I think the fan base needed this one more than the team, honestly. But I was curious to see how the team was going to respond to Saturday, because obviously, we covered it that there was a bunch of reports, and obviously Berube was kind of putting them through it at practice yesterday and singling out players and yelling at them it's kind of like your house league kind of practice and stuff like that. So, but thank you, Jose, again. But yeah, I was very curious to see how they were going to respond, and I thought that they responded very well. So yes, an A+ for tonight's game, Jose. I totally agree. And again, you're facing a weaker opponent, but you were on Saturday as well. So I'm glad that they responded this way. Very happy. Tanev is at the bottom of the hockey stats impact chart. So the other impact chart that we normally use, he was at the bottom. I'm not concerned about that. Also, I found that there was a couple times tonight that he bobbled the puck and stuff, very uncharacteristic for Chris Tanev, but he battled and he still got the puck out. So not the prettiest game for him, but he's not going to be the best. He is their best defenseman, but he's not going to be at his best every single night. But I do believe he's going to bring it in the playoffs, and that's what they got him for. So it's going to be fantastic. Jake McCabe almost scored today. Lawton to the Marlies for Steves. It's not going to happen unless there's injuries. I also think that Pacioretty's probably ahead of Steves at this point. But again, the Leafs have great depth in case there is anything going on with injuries and stuff in the playoffs. But they have to make it past the first round for that to matter, I think, anyway. But from Stuart, as far as talent, in my opinion, the last few years, the Leafs are one of the deepest teams in the league and should be able to make the conference finals, no problem. Absolutely, on paper, everybody knows that, but it hasn't happened. So they have to get over that. They have to lock in. There's a way you need to play, and I keep using this example that Ovechkin was the exact same way, and analysts, former players were calling him out and saying, you'll never win a Stanley Cup if you're playing this way. And one year he just said, okay, and he locked in. So, and I find there's a lot of similarities with what the Leafs need to do to the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin, where, the year that they finally won the Stanley Cup was the year after they were supposed to win the Stanley Cup on paper, right? And nothing was going right for them that year. Not nothing, but, they were dealing with injuries and all this stuff, and they finally won the Cup because they just locked in. It was a different mentality. It was a different mindset. So I'm hoping the Leafs come into the playoffs with that, because it could be some trouble if they don't, but poor Scott Laughton, will he score a goal? I hope so. I don't even think he needs to score a goal. I feel like a lot of people think that. I think he's fine. I don't know if he has to score. What does he need to score? 10 goals, 10 goals by the end of the year? I think he'll be okay. I think he needs to play a role for the team. And I think he needs to continue to settle into that role. So we'll see. But as Jim said, I would love to see it, but to say conference final with no problem is a stretch considering the path that they need to take to get there. Yeah, so it's a tough path. That's the thing. You can win the first round, whether it's Ottawa or Tampa, and then who's sitting there for you in the second round? It's probably the Florida Panthers. It's going to happen. And that is something, Jim, that I was talking about a couple streams ago in terms of the seeding. It shouldn't be Florida, especially if you're the Leafs and you finish second in the division. It shouldn't be Florida in the second round. It should be reseeded, but now you have that weird bracket going on. So the NHL playoffs for the first round is fine. I have no issues with it. But afterwards, the fact that you're meeting Florida in the second round is just weird. It's just, I don't agree with it. But I think we'll get into the 3 stars now. Any final thoughts? Let's throw it into the chat and we'll wrap up here in just a second. But for the 3 stars tonight, got to get my 3 stars glasses on, of course. And we're going to be rocking. We got some new stuff planned for the playoffs. Let me tell you, it's going to be very exciting. But I'm going to go with my 3rd star, and I'm excited to see what you guys put in the chat as well. I'll read them out in just a second. But I'm going to go with my 3rd star, Max Domi, tonight. That one goal that he scored really just changed my opinion on him for the entire game. I thought he had a great game. And not a great game. I should say a great couple shifts there. I thought he was putting in some work. I know there's some other options. Could pick McMahon, of course. Honorable mention to McMahon, but I'm going to pick Max Domi because that goal, I thought that was great and he was working hard for it. So I'm going to pick him for my 3rd star. My 2nd star tonight is John Tavares, another 4-point performance. He was absolutely unbelievable. Again, getting it going for the team with the first goal to tie the game right after the Flyers scored. So again, John Tavares has been one of their best players consistently for the last month at this point as we're heading into April. And 1st star, I think no brainer tonight, it was William Nylander. He was absolutely fantastic, pushing play, pushing the pace, got a couple assists as well tonight, and obviously his 2 goals. So absolutely fantastic, William Nylander. Another 40-goal season for Nylander. I wonder if he can get to 45 by the end of this year. I think that'd be awesome, and I would hope that he would try and push for 50, but we'll see. We'll see. That might be a bit much, but Lawton Roll is paycheck. We'll see. He's not making that much. They're retaining salary. They're fine. And for next year. But which could solve a problem actually heading into next year. So I'm glad that they actually did go out and get him. But we'll see. We'll see how he plays. And I think that he still needs to settle in a little bit. I know I was saying give him 5 games. He hasn't been great. Carlo has been phenomenal, right? In terms of the acquisitions at the trade deadline. Lawton still needs a minute, and maybe it's just bad. Maybe it is just bad, but I want to see it heading towards the playoffs. Camp number 3 from Jim, well, Willie 2, and I think that's JT 1. And Tavares is playing better than Matthews. Line 1 swap. All of it is chemistry. I think I think the top line actually does a pretty good job of shutting down other teams' best players. So I would keep them at this point. I think you found your first 2 lines for the playoffs. What happens with the rest of the lineup, including the defense and goaltending? That's going to be a topic of conversation as well. Because I imagine first game of the Western road trip, it's probably going to be Wall at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But I wouldn't mess with that chemistry. They're playing fantastic. I like Tavares and Nylander. I think that Marner works better with Tavares, to be honest. But as a cohesive unit, that second line as it is right now, keep it as is. They're on fire. So don't mess it up, especially a month away from the playoffs. And we have a couple different answers. Alex, Nylander 1, Tavares 2, McMahon 3. Second line, it's been 3 stars. Second line from Nick, right? Lawton, not Lawton, excuse me. Tavares, Nylander, Domi. That's an interesting one, Jose, as well. We'll see what the line combinations are saying in about a couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting, but Tampa is so deep now, and Vasilevsky is back to the best goalie in the world besides Hellebuck. Against other teams, the Leafs know how to beat him. And I think that Tampa has a certain defensive structure, and I feel like they're weaker on the back end than they were a couple of years ago when the Leafs played them, and obviously when they were going to Stanley Cup Finals. So I think the Leafs have absolutely dominated. I know it's a regular season, but even dating back to the playoffs, have dominated the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I would feel pretty confident, I have to be honest. But no, you were Jim. Has nothing to do with you. There's just a lot of traveling, tech stuff behind the scenes going on, but we'll get back to that. Again, we're going to wrap up here in just a second here, but thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. It was absolutely fantastic game. Love to see the Leafs run up the score once in a while, and Nick will be back in the next stream. When is the next stream? We're not sure. We're going to try and stream after their next game. I believe it's on Thursday night. It's a 10:30 Eastern start. So we're going to try and stream after that game. There will be a community post if we do not stream. So take a look for that the day of. If we do not stream, we will let you guys know. But we will stream for sure on Saturday night. So stay tuned for that. It will be good. But Jim, again, no call-ins. Had nothing to do with you. It's all good. But yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a great game for the Toronto Maple Leafs to get back on track. And I say back on track, but obviously they just came off 3 in a row and then they lost 1 game. It was disappointing, but nice to get a win against a weaker opponent. And now they head out west, and the LA Kings have been very good at home. So it's going to be a tough test there against the Kings. You know, you got to bounce back against the San Jose Sharks and kind of show them that you're the better team, right? You got to come in and get some revenge there. And then obviously Anaheim, you just got to, you know, do your thing there. You gotta collect some 2 points. So this is a really good opportunity out west to continue to build on your lead in the Atlantic, or just stay ahead of the Florida Panthers at this point, because they're going to be back in action very soon. But thank you everyone again for tuning in. We'll be back in a stream very soon, and the playoffs are right around the corner at this point, and the Leafs look like they're getting closer and closer to solidifying their playoff lineup. We'll see you all in a video tomorrow. The videos will not stop, but we'll let you guys know about the next stream. But we'll see you guys in a video tomorrow.
Digest your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold, where legends untold. From first pop drop to the season's fall. Tune in and watch the drama unfold.